The one who will feel the difficulties of gathering in the kafir is the kafir. Allah the Exalted says, then when the trumpet is sounded, truly that day will be a hard day, far from easy for the disbelievers. Then they will disperse from the plain of gathering after the long stay for the reckoning. They will be held responsible based on their deeds. Nothing will be left. They will be made to see them or account for them and acknowledge them. There are some who will not be called to account and will enter the paradise without reckoning, as contained in the Hadith of the 70. In the Hadith of the 70,000 who will enter the paradise without reckoning or punishment, and some of them will have an easy reckoning. He surely will receive an easy reckoning and will return to his family in joy. Yet some of them will be cross-examined. He said, whoever is interrogated for reckoning will be punished. These three categories are with respect to the believers. So the believer will be given comparative reckoning according to his good and evil deeds. As for the kafir, he will not be given such comparative reckoning because he has no good deeds. Rather, he will be given affirmative reckoning. He will be made to see his deeds until he admits them. Thereafter the scales, the deeds will be weighed, the good and evil deeds, on real scales with two scale dishes. The good deeds will be placed on a scale dish and the evil deeds on another. Allah the Exalted says, then those whose scales of good deeds are heavy, these they are the successful, and those whose scales of good deeds are light, they are those who lose their own selves in hell, will they abide. Mu'minun. Then as for him whose balance of good deeds will be heavy, he will live a pleasant life in paradise. But as for him whose balance of good deeds will be light, he will have his home in Hawaya, pit, hell. That is the scales of his deeds. So it will be placed on a pan, and the evil deed on the other pan, and he will receive the reward for whichever of them both that is weightier, the preponderance of the good deeds or that of the evil deeds. This is from Allah's. The weighing of the deeds, the doer, and the scrolls of deeds is established, and that the scale is of two scale dishes. Dishes is also established, and Allah knows best what is beyond that of the ways it will be done. Justice, that he will not be unjust to anyone, rather he will reward man according to his deeds. So it is a real scale, but the Mu'tazilites say it is not a real scale. What that means is the establishment of justice. Thus, it is an abstract scale which only implies the establishment of justice between the creatures. However, they have no evidence except their intellect, so they disbelieve in it because they do not see the scale. They do not believe in the unseen. This is the problem with absolute dependence on the intellect. The believer should not depend on the intellect in everything. The intellect guides, no doubt, but it is not all that matters. There are many things the intellect does not grasp the matters of the unseen, may not be comprehended by the intellect, and as such do not make your intellect the judge in such matters. Rather, dependence should be upon text alone. This is the reason for their rejection, based on their mistaken position. They do not believe whatever they do not see or observe. They rather reject them or give them meanings other than their true meanings. So they do not reject the word. So they do not reject the word mizan, scale, because it is contained in the Quran, and the weighing on that day, the day of resurrection, will be the true weighing. So as for those whose scale of good deeds will be heavy, they will be the successful by entering paradise. And as for those whose scale will be light, they are those who will lose their own selves by entering hell, because they denied and rejected our signs and revelations. Then as for him whose balance of good deeds will be heavy, he will live a pleasant life in paradise. But as for him whose balance of good deeds will be light, he will have his home in Hawiya, pit hell. So they do not reject the word muwazzin, that which is weighed, but they give them meanings and distort them from their true meanings, as is their attitude with the other texts which contradict their intellects. They distort them from their true meanings. As for the people of the truth, they believe in them in their actual forms, and leave the details of their forms with Allah, the Mighty and Sublime. Then there will be the handing out of the scrolls. Then as for him who will be given his record in his right hand, will say, "Take, read my record," until his saying. But as for him who will be given his record in his left hand, will say, "I wish that I had not been given my record." Then after all these difficulties, there is the sirat placed across the fire. The sirat means the path, and is also referred to as al-kantara, across the fire. The entire creation will have to cross over the sirat. It is thinner than the hair strand, sharper than the edge of a sword, and hotter than the burning coil. The entire creation will go across it based on their deeds. So some of them will go across it with the speed of light, some of them as the speed of sound. Some will go across it like the race horse. Some of them will go like the riding camel. Some will go jogging. Some will walk across. Some will crawl. And some of them will be trapped and thrown in the fire. This is mentioned in the Quran. He, the Exalted, says, "So by your Lord surely we shall gather them together, and also the shayatin devils with them. Then we shall bring them around hell on their knees. Then indeed we shall drag out from every sect all those who were worst in obstinate rebellion against the most beneficent Allah. Then verily we know best those who are most worthy of being burnt therein. There is not one of you but will pass over it, hell. This is with your Lord a decree which must be accomplished. Everyone will have to cross over the fire when they pass over the sirat. They will be stopped for retaliation. Revenge will be